Yo, what is good? We are back. The Redshirt podcast is back for another episode 21. As always, I'm your host, your man DG. I got my co-host. My guys are in the building tonight. My brother Trey at That Way 816. My brother CJ at CGZ81. Trey will be back. I don't know what he meant. He was
He be back.
back. But man, it's been a minute since we last talked to y'all. The last time we talked to y'all, the Indiana Hoosiers have become national champions, and a lot has happened in that realm since then. But as you guys can see tonight, man, it's gonna be a very, very, very special night. But before we get started, man, to my co-host, how y'all feeling tonight? How's everything
Feeling
going?
good. Feeling good, man. The season is officially over for professional and college. So this is where the real work begins. So there is
The
no off
off
season in
season,
football. So this is when we really
right?
start to work. It's when we have our fun. So
That's right.
Nah,
Trey,
for
how you
sure.
feel?
Man, it's a great day. We finally finished not only just with national championship, transfer portal's over with. Everybody's starting their off-season workouts. We about to get ready to we gonna blink and it's spring ball time. I can't ready for it. Kind of like what CJ said, combine time. We about to start seeing these boys go from college athletes and the NFL players.
Yeah, for sure. This has been a lot going on. Senior Shrine Bowl, every college all-star kind of game you can think of, man. Guys trying to get tape and film on themselves to boost their stock and get things, the ratings up and things of that nature. So, but with that being said, man, we got a special guest in the building tonight to help you guys get ready, not only for the next college football season, but as well as the NFL draft that's coming up. This guy's draft expert as well. He's the night editor for the Sports Desk. He also writes for college football for the Philadelphia Inquirer. Before joining the Inquirer, he previously worked with NOLA.com as sports digital content creator and sports betting producer. Began his journalism career as a digital content creator and multimedia journalist, and he is a proud alumnus of Lindenwood University. Our guy, our man tonight, Devin Jackson, is in the building with us. Devin, how you feeling tonight, man?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. Just got back for some vacation and definitely need a little bit of time off. Transitioning from the NFL season and college season and into the NFL draft, but and going to the Senior and Shrine Bowl. But I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good time. Talking through NFL draft prospects and looking at kind of the next crop of players coming into the NFL and. Got the combine here in a few weeks. I'll be there for that too. So excited to be in this part of the calendar and getting ready for what's to come in the next few months.
Now I was reading you played 4 seasons at Lindenwood, correct?
I did. Yeah, I played tight end and fullback.
Oh,
there you
okay.
go.
So
He a real
CJ,
tight end. See,
tight end University.
I knew
CJ
I
was
rock
right.
with Dad, my dog. He a real one.
Yeah, I'm real familiar with Lindenwood as well too. I went to Missouri Baptist University on a basketball scholarship, so I know Lindenwood was right down the street. Went to several parties there in Lindenwood, so we may have ran into each other, and never know at some point in time. But we're glad to have you here tonight, man, and
So
to pick your brain on some things. So we'll get started, man. We'll obviously start with the end of the NFL season, as we seen, last Sunday, the NFL season came to a complete. Um, the Seattle Seahawks today had their championship parade as well, but ended up being Super Bowl champions, defeating the New England Patriots 29-13. What was your thoughts and feelings as far as the closing of the chapter of the season and seeing the Seahawks host the Lombardi?
Yeah, I think overall it was a weird season because it felt like there wasn't any, one or two teams that really separated themselves from the pack. Obviously the Patriots had a really good regular season, and Seattle really turned it on the last few weeks of the season, being obviously the 49ers and the Rams, like two of their last three games. But I think going into the playoffs, there's a lot of unknown on like who's going to emerge, who's going to play a consistent football. Which how are the games going to be won? And I think as we saw over the course of the playoffs and the Super Bowl, that the Seattle's defense just took over the entire playoff run. Obviously, Sam Darnold did some nice things, and Kenneth Walker in the running game really got going in the playoffs, and especially in the Super Bowl. But the defense dominated, and kind of similar to what we saw with the Eagles and Chiefs in the last Super Bowl. Defensive lines, if they're able to just pin their ears back and get after you and put teams in those third and long situations, it doesn't matter who's back there at quarterback. It's going to be tough to beat them. So we saw, just the defensive masterclass again in the Super Bowl, and I think we're starting to see a shift in NFL. And not only do you have to have a really good play caller and kind of adapt with the game, but defensively you got to be able to have a top notch play caller and a defensive line that is able to disrupt and create pressure and force quarterbacks to be uncomfortable throughout the game. And it just continues to show you that everyone's going to talk about the offense, and everyone wants to point to the offensive numbers, but the defense continues to show that if you have a formidable pass rush, if you have athletes in the secondary that also can defend the run, and just a total defensive effort where you're able to shut down the runs on early downs and create pressure on third downs, it can take you a long way. And we saw it from both teams. Even though New England didn't get the win, Milton Williams had a big game. New England's defensive line had a big game, and showed once again that if you have those defensive linemen and more than just the edge rushers, but interior defensive linemen able to rush the passer, it's a total game changer for you.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to ask you, obviously the Philadelphia Eagles, the season kind of ended in a little bit of disappointment. There was a lot of talks previously about this team being able to go back and do it again. Are you an Eagles fan, or are you just right for it? Okay.
No, I'm not an Eagles fan. So I grew up a Saints fan. My family's from New Orleans, and I was raised in Georgia, so it was kind of an interesting dynamic there. But I grew up a New Orleans Saints fan, and really since I got into sports media in general, I kind of cooled off on that and tried to have a more objective look on NFL and college football and all those things. But I cover the Eagles. I'm not a fan of them. So you don't have to worry about that.
Well, I was just gonna ask you, is obviously the season, obviously ended in disappointment. There was a lot of talks around, particularly the offense in ways of the play calling and Jalen Hurts' play and things of that nature. What was your thoughts and feelings as far as how the season kind of played out for the Eagles and the changes that have been made as far as the firing of Kevin Petullo and things that are going on right now with the Eagles moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like whenever you have to replace an offensive coordinator that late into the offseason, it's going to create issues in who can realistically replace them. And, they really didn't have a lot of options. They chose to promote Kevin Petullo and kind of keep the continuity of the offense and all those things. And I think it just boiled down to one, the issues with the offensive line being healthy. They had a number of guys miss games. Lane Johnson missed games. Landon Dickerson started the season not healthy. Cam Jurgens, had a back issue over the summer that kind of carried into camp and into the regular season. Those guys were all banged up. Jordan Mailata at times was banged up throughout the year. So the toll that it took for them to play the type of offense that they did last year and that run to the Super Bowl and beating the Chiefs, very physical, but very physically taxing. And you kind of saw the residual effects of that. In terms of the offense in general, having a first-time play caller call your plays and still keep them within the system, they had to know going to the year that teams were going to try and shut down Saquon Barkley and shut down the running game. And I don't think they did a good enough job over the course of the year in figuring out an answer to counter that. If teams stuffed the box to stop Saquon Barkley, I don't think they took enough advantage of the numbers they had on the outside. And when they did, it was just low percentage throws. And I think part of that is, the typical comfortability you see in the Eagles offense and the fact that they're going to try and have their talent beat you. And when they're stopping Saquon Barkley, you saw a lot of one-on-one throws to AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, and I just didn't think there was a lot of creativity in finding ways to scheme them open. They started to incorporate more like under center play action and doing things of that nature to try and um, you know keep defenses guessing. But if they were in shotgun, they were passing. If they were in under center, they were running, and so they kept a lot of the same telltale signs that you expect to see. The tendencies kind of over the course of the year continued to be what they were. Teams were able to kind of cue in on that, and I just think overall the passing game struggled because they tried to run a lot of the same things that they do. Stop routes and hitches and slants to AJ Brown and go balls and all those different things. The RPOs they tried to mix in a little bit too, but even that became predictable. So I think for this offense, they've run largely the same offense the entire time Jalen Hurts has been the quarterback, and teams know it, and teams are able to scheme against it, and they know what's coming. Even though the Eagles try to put in some wrinkles, they kind of resorted back to what they know when times got tough, and it just didn't work out in the end. And the injuries piling up on the offensive line, the lack of dominance and lack of ways to get Saquon Barkley the ball outside of slamming him in between the tackles, and the defense having to continuously bail out the offense. There was like probably 5 or 6 games where the Eagles just didn't score or scored little in the second half, and that's just not sustainable over the course of the year. So I think all that said, it was time for some new blood to come in. Obviously, they hired Sean Mannion, never been a play caller, only been an NFL coach for 2 years. That's a big risk. Bringing in Josh Grizzard, who was offensive coordinator at Tampa as a passing game coordinator. He has some play calling experience, but like Mannion, he didn't have a lot of years under his table in terms of coaching and holding a whole offense together. And then some of the other hires that they made, seems like they're going to shift more into a modern offense and do more under center, do more play action, move Jalen Hurts out of the pocket a little bit. And we just I think you're going to see a different Philadelphia Eagles offense as opposed to years past.
Yeah, obviously with the move to Sean Mannion, it seems as though that it took a while for them to kind of figure out where they were gonna kind of go with the offensive coordinator position. Do you kind of feel like there is maybe some friction in between that coaching staff with how Sirianni has kind of been running things, or is it just one of those things where they just you just trying to kind of go through the candidates and find the right candidate? Or
I think ultimately they wanted to, and on the owner Jeffrey Lurie has said this on multiple occasions. They want to have an explosive offense. They want to have a dynamic, cutting edge. Basically teams are trying to, I don't want to say mimic them, but try to replicate what they're doing. Like they've always wanted that type of play caller. And you kind of saw that a little bit with Shane Steichen, and that's why he got swooped up so fast by the Indianapolis Colts. Kellen Moore, he didn't reinvent the Eagles offense, but he certainly made it, a much more modern looking, able to kind of adapt to the different defenses that are thrown at them. So I think for them, they wanted to try and do something a little different. Like, Brian Dabble was obviously, a candidate, but I felt like he was going to probably run a lot of the similar things you saw the Eagles run before. Mike McDaniel might have been a little bit too much of a departure from what they were looking for. Plus, obviously, he had better offers and chose LA over Philly. So I think going through this process, I think Nick Sirianni realizes that you can't just get a guy that you were familiar with to come in and try and fix the offense.
Yeah.
And for the management to feel good about it, because it has to be sustainable past this year. You can't just, fix, do a quick fix, get deep in the playoffs and then, that person leaves and then all of a sudden you're back at square one. So I think they wanted to try something a little different. get someone that has had different influences of different coaches, from Sean McVay to Shanahan, obviously to LaFleur, where he came from in Green Bay, and be able to have new ideas and a different offensive approach. I think they're too good in terms on paper, at least, to be shut out in entire second halves. The talent is too good. They invest so much money in this roster, especially on offense, that if you're not producing them, then what are you paying them for? So I think
Yes.
part of that went into kind of the search and the way that they approach things, and I think they're trying their best to modernize offense and get Jalen Hurts looking like a quarterback that's worth the money that they're paying, because he hasn't looked like that. He didn't look like that last year, and even times the year before, he didn't look like that. Obviously, the playoffs and what he did in the Super Bowl was a different story, um, but yeah, I think largely it's based on Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, and that Eagles nucleus wanting to have an offense that looks like the money that they're putting into it, and looks like a team that can go out and win them games, and not just play kind of that ball control offense that they did last year.
Yeah. Lots of changes, lots of expectations, especially going into next year for the Philadelphia Eagles. So we'll kind of see where they'll go with that. We'll transition now to a little bit of college football and things of that nature. Starting off with a little bit of news that has come out this week as well. The NCAA has denied Trinidad James his sixth season of eligibility. I did see that he had also that Ole Miss had filed another injunction on his behalf to try to get him to gain eligibility again, with talking about his last season at Ferris State, him having like tonsillitis or something like that as a medical red shirt. It's a lot of things obviously going on. So I do want to get everybody's thoughts, starting with you, CJ. Getting your thoughts on the Trinidad Chambers news and where you feel like he should go with this thing, because it doesn't look like he's gonna play at Ole Miss.
It's kind of funny because, like, before all this started, I know they said the first judge that was on his case was an Ole Miss grad, so I thought that was funny. That's why I thought the green light was going to be approved. And then after that got denied, then they had tried again for the second time, and he got denied. I thought it was pretty much a sign for him to go to the league, but clearly Ole Miss is not giving up on this. Neither is he. It's kind of hilarious because we've seen guys like Damon Williams from Washington deal with their off the field, obviously court cases, you could say, trying to either transfer schools, obviously be in the portal. And this kid, he's actually trying. This is the funniest thing, because out of all the kids we've seen some guys come back for their 7th, 8th, even 9th year. Now we got this kid who wants to stay in school, and the NCAA doing everything in their power to make sure he's not being able to come back. So I think it's kind of funny, because I think obviously the world hasn't really seen much of him, because he was at Ferris State, a D2 school, where he played well, won championships there, and then obviously had to go to Ole Miss and wait his time, and then his time came earlier than expected, and Simmons went down. And then Trinidad took over and took the SEC by storm and almost went into a national championship. So Trinidad, obviously, if he did go to the league, there's a couple of teams I think that would be great for him to sit and learn. I think it'd be great for his promise in the league as far as him getting better and his throwing mechanics. I think he could do a lot of things with his feet. But as far as this situation specifically, it is kind of hilarious how the NCAA has every player we think that's going to win their case usually does until this year. And now this is this is the biggest one, being that he's not being able to come back. So I don't know if third time's the charm. Maybe he's just waiting for the right judge to be on the case and they approve it for him to come back, or maybe he just needs to just accept his fate and he's going to go to the NFL. So it's kind of hilarious, because we've seen every player usually get their way when it comes to these things, and he's not getting his way now. So it's interesting to see what happens. If I'm him, I would just start preparing for the league, honestly. I know he wants to come back. He probably would be a Heisman favorite. He probably would have another great season for sure, but I don't think it's trending towards him coming back to college. So he should probably start his pro day and start getting ready for all that right now. So,
yeah. Go ahead, Trey.
Honestly, like, this has got to be one of the funniest things, because there's a lot. I'm already knowing there's a lot of emotions coming different ways. Number one, especially with me being a Missouri fan, Trinidad had Trinidad's eligibility had a little bit to do with the reason why Caden Lee hit the transfer portal. He was a guy that he wanted to be alongside a quarterback that he knows at least a little bit about. He heard that, hey, it's either you come back now or you're going ahead and you hit that portal and you go look elsewhere and you kind of just see what happens from there. But I mean, it's just kind of like number one. I think that number one for Trinidad, it's already he's in this. I ain't got nothing else to lose now except the pro day because of the fact that like you already missed out on the Shrine Bowl. You already missed out on the Reese's Bowl. You could have been in either one of those. You could have been in the All American one. You could have been in these three things that have already come and gone. But because of the fact that you wanted to come back, now you're kind of setting yourself in. Are you going all in with Ole Miss? Or are you now just going to have to transition and have a hurry-up preparation for the league? And then from a last caliber, bro, Deuce Knight, the guy that literally just transferred from being a starter at Auburn, is now sitting over there like, does Ole Miss not believe in me because of the fact that they're going on above this edge because of the fact that they don't want me to be the starter or what's going on? I mean, it's a lot of things going on. It's just like, this is a non-going expectation, kind of like what CJ said. I just saw somebody got approved for his 11th season in the league. I'm like, brother, at this point, you're dang near your 30s. So you might as well just go ahead and call it quits. So it's kind of crazy just how the NCAA and the transfer portal and collegiate eligibility, like COVID has messed up a lot of things. But the one thing that we got to say is probably messed up the most is got to be for transfer portal and recruitment. Like this is ridiculous.
Yeah, Dev, are we getting to a point where NIL is starting to really mess up eligibility and these guys maybe staying a little bit too long in school, seeing that they can make more of a career at the college level than they can at the NFL level?
Yeah, I think we're starting to see a shift a little bit. Obviously, I think over the last couple of years, we've had kind of record lows in a number of underclassmen declaring for the NFL draft, and a lot of that is due to NIL. And I think on one hand, it feels like it should be a good thing because players are getting another year to develop, getting another year of tape on them, and all those things. But I think with cases like this, especially for like Trinidad Chambliss, where the quarterback class right now, isn't super deep. This is a class that you can kind of take advantage of and go into, and then all of a sudden, you're taking a little bit higher than maybe you would have in a stronger quarterback class, and you're looking ahead to 2027, and the quarterbacks that could be coming out that year. There's no guarantee that Chambliss is going to go back to school and even improve his stock even more. So I think with NIL, it's kind of a case by case kind of thing where, if it's truly like one of those things where it's like a medical red shirt and, you were kept out and your career has been stalled a little bit, I think it makes a lot of sense. But, a position like quarterback, a 6th year, a 7th year, I mean, at that point, I'm not sure what your ceiling is, at the NFL level. Obviously, we see a guy like Bo Nix play a lot of years in college and go in the first round, but typically those guys that go early, that go in the first round, they're typically guys that within 4 or 5 years they've really ascended and become a really good player. So I think in some you can make an argument I think both ways, but I think generally speaking, after you get like past year 5, year 6, year 7, year 8, I think you're kind of pushing the limit on how long you're going to be in the league, because maybe you make it to only one contract if you're really that type of player. But 2, I think teams are less likely to try to take a chance on that, because chances are if you're 6th, 7th, 8th year guy, you suffer some pretty bad injuries in your career already.
Yeah. I was about to say that because I was like, look, man, like, when does it become enough, brother? Because, like, we just see, like, the number one story of why are you still in the league? At first, me and DG, we were trolling all season with Carson Beck. We were calling him Doofy and everything else in the world because of the fact that we were like, dude, just go, just leave. And now he's done that. But nothing compares to TJ Finley. Like, TJ Finley been in college football since, like, 2016, 17. And is now dropped to his like 13th team in college football.
Like, when is it enough, bro?
Makes no sense. I mean, but some guys know they're not going to the league, so it's like they're trying to get as much juice as they can out of college. So I get it for those guys, but some of these quarterbacks could easily get drafted. And like Dev said, they're trying to improve their stock as much as possible. But if you were going to come out for Trinidad, this is the best year because next year's class is much deeper. You got guys like, obviously, Arch. We all know about him. You got obviously like Sears.
Yeah.
I mean, there's someone like Sears. There's so many other quarterbacks that can easily come out. The quarterback class is much deeper and more talented. So if I'm a guy like Trinidad, I would capitalize on the run I had and try to find somewhere where I could stick. And there's plenty of teams like a LA or a Pittsburgh where he could sit behind and be a guy where he could sit a year or two and learn and then develop into a starter. So I honestly thought he should come out, but if he truly wants to come back, maybe he feels he's not ready. So I can't really be mad at him for trying to stay in college, but I agree he should come out this year.
No. Yeah, hey, I think this would be a good time for him to take advantage of how this quarterback class is kind of played out this year, because next year is definitely going to get spooky. Speaking of next year, On3 has released their top 10 CFB QBs entering the 2026 season. I'm actually not smiling because of that. I'm actually laughing because a couple weeks ago we talked about top 10 players in college football, and Arch Manning wasn't even nowhere near on the list. And it's funny now that we turn around the next couple of weeks and he's number one on the top 10 list.
Well, there's multiple guys making the list.
Yeah. So
it's a different guy.
It's kind of crazy because Dante Moore, we talked about that list last time. Dante Moore was on that list, and Levitt, I think, even made that list last time. So now to see Arch Manning's name at the top of the list is like overnight. We just found out that Arch Manning is actually good. But Dev, I want to start with you, man. Going into next year, which one of these guys, or a couple of these guys, are you looking forward to watching play as well? We've seen Darian Mensah. He obviously has made the move to Miami. Gunnar Stockton continues his reign at Georgia. Julian Sayin has probably the potential to win the Heisman next year playing for Ohio State. So which guys are you kind of looking forward to watching next year?
Yeah, for me, it's two guys, Josh Hoover, who's now going to be at Indiana, and Darian Mensah, who's going to be now at Miami. I think Mensah in particular is a guy that, is extremely talented and, effortless throwing the football, has that dual threat ability, and obviously won an ACC championship with Duke this past season. And you put him behind an offensive line that's going to be much more talented. Weapons are going to be much more talented. Our receiver, obviously the running back room is stacked in Miami. I think you're going to see, or give him a chance to, once again be another guy that transfers to Miami and, really helps his stock. You saw it with Cam Ward a few years ago, transferring from Washington State. And I think Mensah has that same ability to be able to do that. And we'll see how high he could go. I think he was largely getting day 3 feedback this year, which is why he decided to go back to school and transfer out of Duke. But I think he's a guy that you could easily talk yourself into being a player that maybe he does go, back into the first round next year. Maybe he's a guy that can ascend and kind of rise in that quarterback class next year with, we're expecting Arch Manning and Dante Moore kind of be at the top of that list next year. And then Josh Hoover, I think, is an underrated one. Really good athlete. I think he also played baseball too, early in his career at TCU and in high school. A guy that can, make a lot of plays outside of the pocket, different arm angles, different arm slots, has some dual threat ability, but not really a calling card. But I think, obviously we've seen the success that Fernando Mendoza had this year with Indiana. And I think Hoover can be another guy that you place into that system and be a guy that can immediately produce results. I do think his accuracy isn't as good as Mendoza's, but in terms of, just athletic ability, ability to make plays outside of the pocket, feel for the position, all those different things, I think, we feel good about Hoover potentially making a jump next year as well.
Yeah. Lots of good guys on this list. Trey, CJ, who you guys looking forward to watching?
The disrespect. No Lenore Sellers on this list? Whoever this guy is crazy. I mean, I know some good quarterbacks. Say he's like the 11th best quarterback in the country. That's kind of wild. My favorite on this list, probably the highest paid guy on this list, Brendan Sorsby. They paid him a ransom to get out there to Lubbock, Texas.
Before you talk about that, I was going to ask Dev
gave him a blank check
too.
My goodness. But Dev kind of stole mine. Josh Hoover, I liked him a lot at TCU. He turned the ball over a lot towards the second half of the year, but he has good arm talent. I think a lot of things he can do on the run, they could try to continue. So I don't really think he has to change his offense too much of what he does in Indiana. So I think that's kind of why he grabbed Josh. I think a lot of these guys we've kind of seen him. Sam Levitt probably has the most pressure of anyone because obviously everything Lane's doing at LSU, all the players he's bringing in, they're talking about national championships before he even stepped a foot on campus. So he probably has the biggest bullseye on his back even more so than Arch this year, honestly, because LSU has a really good stacked roster, but we'll see if they do it. CJ Carr probably the most slept on one on this list. I think obviously he can have a really good year. Obviously you were leaning on guys like Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love, who are both going to be NFL pros. So I think he has a lot to prove for himself. But yeah, my favorites here would definitely be Sam Levitt for sure. And then probably Brendan Sorsby would be the two I would like to see the most. And the sleeper would be the kid from North Texas that left too. I like him too. Westermaker.
Yeah,
I like him
Westermaker.
Yeah. Those are probably my favorite guys for sure.
What about you, Trey?
My favorite definitely got to be the guys at number 2. That's always been my favorite. I think that's my favorite quarterback if he would have stayed into the draft. Which honestly, I definitely agree with the reason why he came back, because obviously against Indiana, Dante Moore looked absolutely – he didn't look like a pro-style quarterback. He has arm talent. He has some measurables. He's got everything. It's just being able to read the defense. I think that he's got to be one of those guys that if you're really showing that you were the second guy behind Fernando and you were giving a run at QB1, we need to start seeing some upgrades from him. So I think that my favorite guy that I'm really having my eyes on definitely got to be Dante Moore. Secondly, probably unfortunately, like I got to CJ took mine and Brendan Sorsby, because of the fact that you go from Cincinnati, you were doing solid at Cincinnati. You weren't one of the main reasons why they were losing. You were one of the most productive quarterbacks, and now you're going to a powerhouse like Texas Tech, where they're bringing in not only talented players or bringing back players, but they're also bringing in one of the best classes in the 26 class. Definitely would probably say out of this one, Sam Levitt for sure, because of the fact that he's got some stuff in there. He's got a lot of weapons, kind of like what CJ said. They're bringing in like Jace Brown. They're bringing in the kid from Hawaii. You're bringing back some guys. You got Jordan Seaton as your left tackle. You're really bringing in a lot of players. So my eyes definitely going to be on him. Probably if he's doing a sleeper. I'm kind of going to go with a hometown kid, or not a hometown kid, but I'm going to go ahead and take the homer route. My guy that's I think is probably going to be slept on is probably going to be Austin Simmons out of Mizzou, because now he's kind of at a spot to where Missouri brought in some players, not guys that a lot of people were going to rave about, but you got guys like Caden Lee coming in, you got guys like Caleb Goody from Cincinnati, ironically. You got some guys. You got Donovan Olugbeday. You're bringing back for another year, and he was probably one of the best freshman receivers in the country. So you're bringing in a lot of guys. So I think that if anything, I'm loving the guys that my favorites is definitely got to be Dante. Got to be Sorsby. I'm interested a little bit in the Levitt. I'm not a big fan of him. I think he's a very solid quarterback. He's going to be able to get the job done in Austin Simmons for real.
Yeah, can't wait to watch Arch Manning be better than all of them.
Tell him, DG.
Look, we can go to the game. The game's at Mizzou. Let's do it.
Tell him, DG.
I was just joking. Dev, I did want to ask you about Brandon Sorsby. There's reported that he got between $5 to $6 million on an NLI deal. Obviously seeing that figure in that amount, what was your thoughts? To me, it was absolutely insane to see him get paid. I think Arch Manning feels like maybe $2 or $3 million or something like that. Or to see him get that amount of money from Texas Tech, what were your quick thoughts on that?
I mean, knowing that what we know about Texas Tech, I mean, I'm not surprised because they have a lot of bankrollers able to pay that type of money out in Texas Tech. And was a big reason that they made the playoff this year. They were able to pay so many guys out of the transfer portal and, really be able to upgrade their roster overnight. So I think you're going to see some teams with that type of, funding from their donors and the investments in their program be able to try and do those things like that. I mean, Sorsby in general, I personally wouldn't pay that much for a quarterback that's probably I think he's probably at probably a best day two guy at the NFL level. I'm not sure he's ever going to be a guy that ascends to the first round type of player even next year, but I think that's kind of showing you kind of the going price for these quarterbacks that you know they're they're needle movers in the college space. I think in the NFL space, maybe not so, but I think the experience and having a guy that's been able to start at a Power Four school elsewhere, I think is easier to sell your fan base on than a guy that's a little bit more of an unknown commodity. Like if a team like if Trinidad Chambliss were in a situation where Texas Tech is paying him like $5 or $6 million before he went to Ole Miss, like straight out of Division II, I think he would get a lot of raised eyebrows. So I think it's kind of the cost of doing business now in college football, where if you're going to supplant a guy that's starting at another program, that's also within the same conference as you, I think that's the type of going price you're going to be getting for a guy trying to poach him.
Gotta pay up.
Yeah, just that amount was just absolutely absurd to me.
I'm surprised that LSU got Sam Levitt on a discount. I thought Sam was going to see that. So you see what he got?
That was like
because he got
right?
hurt.
I thought
Yeah,
Sam
the
was
injury
going
discount.
so.
Texas oil money, it pays.
Man, oil money different, boy. They get paid out there.
Real different down there. So I wouldn't, like
And
Dev said, I wouldn't have paid him that, but hey, more power to him, and hopefully he spends it wisely. Moving on, transitioning to our next topic, man. Obviously, Dev, the NFL draft is coming up here soon. We got the combine coming up here soon. I think in the end of February, beginning of March.
Yeah, last week,
Yeah.
February.
Yeah.
Are you
last
making the
week,
trip to Indianapolis?
Yeah, I am. I'll be there from I think Wednesday to Saturday of that week. Head back and then watch the drills and stuff on Sunday as well with the offensive linemen.
Nice. Oh yeah, they do linemen last. Now they flipped it, so DBs go early. Yep.
Yeah. Heading into that, man. Obviously everybody's releasing their big boards. You get Kuiper releasing his. Obviously PFF,
Todd McShay, all the guys.
Todd McShay, all the people out there. So we kind of had this decision to come up with our own as well. We just wanted to pick your brain, get your thoughts on some of your favorite prospects, and also including some of the guys that we haven't talked about that you've seen at the Shrine or Senior Bowl that you also liked as well too.
Yeah, for sure. Just taking a quick glance on the list, I don't see anything that is, too crazy. I mean, you guys are probably higher on Zion Young than maybe some of the consensus people, but he's had a but he had a really strong Senior Bowl week, and he's a really good player. I liked him even during the fall and getting to watch him. And I was watching different people on the Missouri defense, and he was a guy that you couldn't stop watching. Physical, able to push defensive line or offensive lineman back, and showing that pass rush ability at the Senior Bowl. I thought really helped him and helped his stock for sure. I would say I'm probably higher on Sonny Styles than you guys are. He's a top 5 player for me. I just really like the player, and the coverage ability, physicality. Doesn't miss tackles. A guy you feel pretty good about. Plugging and playing and being a starter at the NFL level. I think Akeem Mesidor, I'd like to see the love with him. I think people are obviously going to point to the age and try to say that maybe he's not a top flight prospect, but the pass rush ability he brings, just the activity that he brings on a down basis, and being able to create havoc in the backfield, both as a run defender and pass rusher. I think all those things stand out. So, I mean, other than that, I don't really see anything controversial here. I think all these guys are deserving players and really good players too. And having those three receivers in the top 20, Mekhi Lemon and Jordan Tyson and Carnell Tate, I think those are the guys that to me probably uh, right now at least they're the three guys I have for sure first round grades on, and I think the only other player that I do right now is KC Concepcion from Texas A&M. Uh, but yeah, I don't see anything here that I necessarily disagree with. Some guys that I have a little bit higher than others, but I think all those guys that you mentioned are worthy to be in this discussion in the top 20.
Yeah, now I know you said you kind of removed your biasness as far as being a Saints fan, but your Saints are in the top 10. Who out of the top 20 would you like to see be the next New Orleans Saint?
Yeah, I mean, Mekhi Lemon to me will be a great fit for New Orleans and what they're trying to do and trying to build. With Tyler Shuck and obviously Chris Olave as well. I think he's the type of player they kind of need to be able to make things happen with the ball in his hands after the catch. Olave's more kind of that in between guy, reliable receiver. You can occasionally take the top off the defense, but I think Mekhi Lemon brings a whole different dynamic and what he's able to do. So I wouldn't be mad about him, or Jeremiah Love, honestly, as guys that they can add to the offense. And obviously they have some other needs on the defensive side of the ball, but like edge rusher and more in the secondary. But I think those spots are things you can get on day 2 of the draft and be able to upgrade in that perspective. So I would go offense if I were New Orleans and get another playmaker for Tyler Shuck, give him the best chance possible, show if he's your franchise quarterback or not.
Yeah. I've seen some Saints fans kind of balance between playmaker for the offense and then edge rusher for the defense and things of that nature. To my co-host, 2 guys on this list that you think everybody should be watching. We'll start with you, Trey.
Well, honestly, the whole Zion Young thing, I think that he deserves a little bit more praise. That's just me. Because he be taking double teams and people don't know about it. But I think honestly one of the guys that obviously outside of Fernando Mendoza, Jeremiah Love, Harvell Reese, we know about these guys. A guy that honestly I'm looking at from a Chiefs perspective, we know we need just about goddamn anybody on this list. But honestly, the guy that I would really love to watch this, especially I agree with you, Dev. Mekhi Lemon, he's definitely one of those guys that he's like if he goes to the right system, the league is going to be screwed for whoever gets him because of the fact that if he's in a spot that actually caters to his talents and his strong suits, then he can be a really good weapon in this league. Same thing goes with Jordan Tyson. The only thing that really scares me is, of course, his injury history. But I think that Jordan, when he's healthy, is definitely going to be. He should definitely be in the conversation of one of, if not the best wide receiver in this list. Honestly, I think the guy that outside of this, I'm gonna take a guy that I'm pretty sure CJ is gonna say is probably gonna be Caleb Banks because of the fact that Caleb Banks has an edge rusher at Florida. He was a guy that he like a lot of people didn't watch Florida because they didn't like how Florida was ran. Billy Napier got fired, all of that. Everything happened. But Caleb Banks was definitely one of the bright spots for Florida, and he was a great guy. He's a great technician. He was able to go from speed to power to speed. Really be able to cause havoc on that defensive line. And definitely I would probably say Mansour Delane or Brandon Sis. I mean, either one of those guys were really productive for the teams, even though their teams didn't perform to the level of what a lot of fans expected them to be. They still outperformed and they still showed why they deserve to be a first round pick.
Yeah. What about you, CJ?
Favorite guys, obviously the obvious ones like Ruben, Bain, David Bailey, obviously. Guys that I've been trying to talk about wherever, like Caleb Banks. I like him a lot at Florida. Trying to think who else on this list I really like. Keem Mesidor, Kendrick Folk, I think will be another good one as well. I think honestly I would put Caleb Downs at number I don't know. This may be a hot take, Dev. I think Caleb Downs may end up being the best player in the draft. Honestly, I think he's a 10-year player. I think he'll be an All-Pro for years to come. He's smart, athletic, can tackle, can cover, catches picks, turns the ball over. Literally no weakness in his game. Can play in the slot, play nickel if you need be. Can play deep third. I think he's a guy that you can come in day one and expect him to go out there and be a starter and be a leader of your defense. So he's probably been one of the highest graded DBs overall that I've seen come out of college, probably since like Kyle Hamilton, Patrick Peterson. Not too many guys that you get like a true first round grade on since they step into college, and obviously not too many freshmen that start day one at Alabama under Nick Saban, and he did that. One of the few guys to do that as well. So he's probably my favorite guy. I think I would put him number one on the list. But from the Chiefs' perspective, I think guys I'm looking at the most would be Carnell Tate. Because like in a perfect world, Deb, I would love for us to get David Bailey or Ruben Bain. If we do that, I'll be jumping for joy. But I think those guys will probably be gone. So I'm giving myself like what's like best next case scenario. If I'm looking at guys like Carnell Tate, if one of those guys are there, if not, Caleb Banks as well be an option for me if they need to trade back. But those are the two guys I'm looking at the most outside of the obvious ones for sure.
Yeah, Caleb Downs is obviously my favorite prospect on this list. I've been comparing him a lot to what Kyle Hamilton kind of brings to the league. I think he's probably been the best safety prospect you've seen since Kyle Hamilton. And I think he's a guy that you can pretty much insert into any defense in the league and probably start from day one. The instincts, the ball skills, just everything, man. Everything I think you can want in a true, legitimate safety. Cover deep, play the box. Just an all-around great player. I think whoever ends up getting him is probably end up getting a potential all-pro kind of player for years to come. So, yeah, man, big board. We'll obviously put that on our Twitter as well, too, at Kingdom Cast, so you guys can see that and keep track of that as well, too, if you guys want to go back and take a chance and look at that. Also, I did want to get your thoughts, Dev. Were there any guys, like I said, at the Shrine Bowl or the Senior Bowl that kind of caught your eye and your attention as well, too?
Yeah, so NC State defensive back Devin Marshall was a guy that caught my eye first. He was a guy that I really liked watching his tape and getting a chance to see the player on tape. But in person, he was even better. I think he had something crazy like 2 interceptions and 9 pass breakups against Florida State, like a dominant game against Florida State during the season. But then he went down to the Senior Bowl, or the Shrine Bowl, and then he only practiced 2 days. But was just a menace in press man coverage, off man coverage, in zone coverage. He was all over throws to his side of the field, both in the one-on-ones and during the team session. So he was a player to me that, over the course of the week, you just saw him continuously get better and better and better. And just look like a guy that, to me, he didn't get he did not get a combine invite, which I was a little surprised about. But I think he's a team that, someone's going to draft, in the 4th, 5th round and, get a future starter at the NFL level. At the very least, be a guy that can play on special teams early. But, if you throw him and end up having to start as a rookie, I think he'd be able to hold his own and be able to handle some of the rigors of the NFL game. So he was a big standout to me at the Shrine Bowl. Another guy that kind of stood out to me during kind of the Shrine Bowl was Dallin Bentley, the tight end from Utah. Kind of a unique story, a guy that only played like 5 or 6 snaps of high school football as a senior and had a injury to end his career, went the JUCO route, ended up at Utah a few years ago and had his most productive season as a tight end. Snapped off routes really well, fluid as a route runner, was sure-handed, not only, in his games at Utah, but just in general during the practice sessions. And he just was a really good player overall. Someone that, I left wanting to go back and take a look at and watch more of his film. So he was kind of a standout from the Shrine Bowl. Senior Bowl, kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, but Zion Young was really impressive. just his way that he can use his hands and hold his own on in the run blocking reps. Just his overall activity and being able to win, inside, outside against offensive tackles, and just his general speed off the edge. I thought he was a guy to me that, you came into the week, you knew he was a good player, knew he was a really good run defender and able to take on double teams. But I think he left the week feeling good about his pass rush ability as well. Another edge rusher that I really liked going to the Senior Bowl and then coming out was Gabe Yakis, the Illinois edge rusher, who I don't think he's ever going to be a guy that's going to be a double-digit sack type of player, but I think he's going to be a really consistent starter. Has some really good hands, able to swat away the hands of offensive tackles, powerful, can win with power, can win, has a little bit of speed, a little bit of juice off the edge too, and able to collapse the pocket. So I really like what he brought over the course of the week, and thought he had a really strong week. And then just peeling back the curtain in general, when you look at some other players that really stood out to me, Max Ianachur, the Arizona State tackle. I thought I had a really good Senior Bowl week, and just a guy that continue to get better every single day, and just was consistent on the day-to-day basis at the Senior Bowl. Especially as a pass protector. I think he still has a little bit to go as a run defender or a run blocker. But I think overall, he started to get better over the course of the week and looked really good. And then last person I wanted to shout was offensive tackle, Demetrius Kronover, guy that, you could see he has all the tools and traits, but he really started to put it together during practices and really stood out in the pass protection drills and holding his own as a pass protector. I still think he has a little bit to go. I think he's kind of more the developmental player where you take him probably end of round 3, round 4. But I think he showed that he could play at the NFL level. And, I think a team is going to get a nice guy that you can really develop and round out his game.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Definitely looking forward to seeing a lot of these guys. I know some of these guys didn't get combine invites and things of that nature, but definitely looking forward to diving into more of their tape and seeing where these guys end up landing. Before we get you out of here, Dev, we do want to run a little first round mock. If you got time to help us with that, I'll bring that up as we speak. Now, obviously, going into this season, it's a lot going on. A lot of people need certain positions and things of that nature. So we'll just go ahead and dive into it, guys. Starting off, Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock. Where do you guys think they go with this pick?
Go ahead and click it, bro.
Cuban missiles. What they
Nobody. Is anybody on the panel think?
Click the next one, bro.
Fernando Mendoza is not.
Click the next one, bro.
He's the number 1 pick, bro. We're not doing
Click the next one, bro.
They're gonna pick him.
No, you trying to hype it up?
Fernando Mendoza is obviously. The New York Jets are obviously in a kind of compromising position. Not a very deep QB draft where they actually need a QB going into this year. Where do you guys think they go? Well, with this pick as well.
They need to trade back. To be honest.
I think they need to trade back, bro. They need to trade back, bro.
All right, we're not doing that tonight, though. But they got
We're not doing that tonight. They need to trade back, though.
I think they got rid of Sauce Gardner, so I guess they probably would take. Well, no, they got rid of Quinn Williams as well. So, I could see any of the guys. They could take Bain, Reese, Bailey, Dick, Caleb. Any of those guys make sense. You're playing in a division with Josh Allen. Yeah,
what I want them to do is I want them to sit over there and say, man, tell me why we shouldn't take Arvell Reese. Make me happy. I would love to have that conversation.
Any of those got to be a good pick for him. So Arvell Reese.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think this one, whenever I end up doing mock drafts, this one's always tough because I think, they just need defensive help no matter what, whatever position you decide to take. I don't think there's a defensive back probably worthy of being picked number 2. Yeah. Obviously, I think an ideal world you probably want to trade back, but if you end up sticking and picking, I think it comes down to Ruben Bain or Arvell Reese. It's a tough one because I think it really depends on like, do they feel, Ruben Bain is a true defensive end? Do we see him more as a versatile guy where you can play him on, inside on some plays, put him out on the edge on some other plays. Um, they've invested a lot of draft capital early on in the first round on edge rusher. So I tend to lead Arvo Reese just because I think he is going to be a little bit more of a player you can mold into what you want. Do you want him more as a in the box type of guy? Do you want him more as an edge rusher? I think it really comes down to what the plan they see for him. But in terms of a guy that can kind of develop along with kind of your timeline, I think Arvo Reese probably fits that a little bit more than Ruben Bain, but I don't think you can go wrong with either guy.
I think, yeah, I obviously think they're in a position where they probably have to have some defensive help. So I think this pick is probably Arvo.
Yeah.
Arizona Cardinals. Obviously, things with Kyler Murray have kind of taken a turn for the worse at this point. So they're kind of in the position, I think, too, where they're looking for a quarterback, but there's no quarterbacks available. So, in your guys' opinion, where you guys think that the Cardinals end up drafting?
Kind of like what the NBA does for Anthony Bennett, and they be like, "Whoa!" I think this is the first time we're gonna see a big jump. The Arizona Cardinals are gonna make that move. I think they're gonna take Jeremiah Love.
I could potentially see that.
They need a weapon. Their weapons are good as far as passing, catching wise. They got obviously Michael Wilson, who had probably the fantasy receiver of the year. He helped me win a couple leagues. Obviously, Trey McBride was tight end one. Marvin Harrison hasn't been living up to the hype as much as he should have. I know he dealt with some injuries this year. Hopefully, he bounces back in year 3. But I definitely think they need some type of running back because James Conner's been dealing with injuries. They had a whole bunch of RB3s trying to take over, like Michael Carter and so many other Gubawale and so many other guys they thought they were trying to take over that RB1 spot. So Jeremiah Love does make sense. They need a weapon for sure.
Do they have any issues with Jeremiah Love at this spot?
I mean, all I'll say is we saw it with the Raiders last year, and they took a running back probably before they were ready to do a lot of other things. So I think that'll be my only drawback of that. But I think they're a team that if they really attack free agency and find some solutions to their offense and defensive lines and find a way to upgrade those 2 spots, I think you could talk yourself into this pick for them.
I like their DBs. I like what they did out with Buda Baker. They got Will Johnson as a steal. I think those are 2 cornerstone pieces. So I think like what they've done with their defense, honestly.
I can also see them looking in the front office like, yeah, we got Michael Wilson, you got Marv, you got Trey McBride. All you got to do is, you don't really need to go nothing crazy. All you got to do is just mainly find that running back that can complement them and go find a quarterback in free agency.
Yeah, it could be one of those things where they kind of think to hang on to Kyler and things work out and they take Jeremiah Love and he ends up kind of shifting, the dynamics of that offense at this point. So,
for sure.
Tennessee on the clock as well. Kind of in that spot where I think they need a little bit of everything too. The defense needs a little bit of help, but I do think Cam Ward needs a true legitimate guy out there as a weapon for them. Cardinal Tate, Jordan Tyson, I think one of those guys will be a good fit here as well too, but I wouldn't be mad to see them take a Ruben Bain Jr. or David Bailey to kind of bolster that defense as well too. What are you guys' thoughts on where the Tennessee Titans go with the 4th pick?
I mean, you said it. If you want Cam to have any shot of being whatever you think he's going to be in this league, top 10, top 12 quarterback, he needs a wide receiver 1. So I think they're another team. They're in a position to trade back as well. But if I'm them, I would definitely be looking at Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, or Cardinal Tate would be my number 1 in this spot for sure. They need to give Cam some help because he ain't had too many guys that can get open. And ironically, the game versus Arizona, Calvin really did one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life, on a football field. So they need some legitimate pass catchers for sure. So Cardinal Tate definitely makes sense for them, especially in that division.
What about you, Dale?
Yeah, I think receiver or edge rusher probably makes most sense here. Two premium positions. I think they're both players that with Cardinal Tate and Ruben Bain. I really think it matters down to do you feel good about who is going to be on the board the next time they pick? I think for
Exactly.
them, you probably I think in this draft you probably feel good. There's probably a good pass catcher early in the second round that is worthy of taking and still being a playmaker type. So I lean defense when it's that type of case. I don't think you're going to get a Ruben Bain, on the second day of the draft. A guy that you can really build around defensively. Jeffrey Simmons is starting to age a little bit, and you just need a defensive star. So I would lean Ruben Bain probably here for Tennessee.
Yeah.
As much as go ahead.
Go ahead, Trey.
I was gonna say, as much as I would love to keep on and try to help one of these two guys tank and fall down to make it easier for the Chiefs, we forget that the head coach is new former 49ers DC, as well as a defensive coach, and Robert Saleh, and especially with Cam in his ear, he's gonna be like, "Hey, bro, I watched this dude Ruben Bay play in front of me, and I've seen him play when I was here. You'd be stupid if you don't take this pick." And I think that Saleh's actually gonna listen to Cam, and he's gonna take Ruben Bay with this pick.
Yeah. Ruben Bain is a Tennessee Titan. Moving on to number 5.
Him and that's a scary one. Him and Jeffrey Simmons.
Very much so.
Blocking them too. Boy.
Giants are kind of in position, needs receiver, guard, tackle, cornerback. I don't know with this pick, because I think that this could be a spot where Caleb Downs kind of goes as well too, because I could see them using him.
Caleb Downs spot for me for sure.
But it's just kind of up in the air. What do you guys think?
Man, they're definitely not taking an edge. They've invested so much room, so I definitely think edge is off the board here. They obviously need some safety help. I mean, when you got a guy like McKinney, you let leave the building, and he goes to Green Bay, becomes an All-Pro. I think they kind of regret letting him hit the market. So I could see them trying to replace him and trying to get another guy in the back end, because obviously they could score points, they just couldn't get off the field, and obviously some of that issues with the defensive coordinator and trying to get better scheme. But as much as I would love to give Jackson Dart a weapon like a Cardinal Tate or a Jordan Tyson, when you have a guy like Malik Neighbors, who's supposed to be a force multiplier, he is your wide receiver 1. So now you can just draft guys to be complementary on day 2 and day 3. So I think this is definitely a Caleb Downs spot right here.
Yeah, I think there's enough depth in this draft at receiver on day 2 where you don't have to really reach for a guy on day 1, especially at this spot. And I think it's kind of hard to pass up a prospect like Caleb Downs to help that defense, to help that pass rush already to be where it is. Dev, would you agree?
Yeah, no notes for me. Y'all said everything you said. I think Caleb Downs.
Look, as much as I would have tried to say been sensible and said, "Hey, look, you need a receiver. You got Matt Nagy coming in. You got
Matt Nagy coming in is crazy."
Yeah, I think he's just so hard to pass up a prospect.
Too good a player, for sure.
6 with the Browns. I think this could be a spot where we do see one of these receivers kind of go off the board. Although I think they have some serviceable receivers, I don't see them really having that game-breaking type of guy, especially with Shedeur Sanders kind of being their future at this point in time. So this could be a spot where I see Cardinal Tate staying in state and playing for them as well. How you guys feel about it?
This has to be 100%. If you actually want to plan on making Shedeur your quarterback, and you want to make sure that not only he lasts, but he's able to show up and do more with what he's got than what you're giving him, you go ahead. You already got your slot guy and Jerry Jeudy. You go ahead and you go him an outside guy, and you go get Cardinal Tate. That's the play.
CJ, Dev, y'all agree?
Yeah, I think for me, it just comes down to, for the Browns, if they take a receiver, are they more comfortable with Tate? Obviously relatively healthy and doesn't have the injury questions that Jordan Tyson has, but maybe Tyson is a guy that has a bigger ceiling. So I think it's just kind of one of those things. But I think if you're a team like the Browns, you probably want to take more of the sure thing there versus a guy that could end up missing some games.
Yeah, for sure. Pick 7, Washington Commanders on the clock. Obviously, we've seen that defense last year have a little bit of struggle. They need some youth in that defensive unit for sure, in my opinion. It could also be a team that you can use a receiver as well too. Losing Deebo Samuel to free agency. So, where you guys think they kind of go with this pick as well? Could be also a corner as well too for them. They need help in that secondary as well. So.
Yeah, I was just about to say I think they need to go corner. Honestly, they also need to get into the quarterback is important. Their line, they could really any of these guys make sense. Sonny Styles makes sense. Delaney makes sense. Mawaga, obviously, they took Connerly, but then they signed Larry Tunsil from the Texans last year. So they also got to protect JD. Giving JD a weapon, I wouldn't be mad at that either. Because obviously we all know Terry's getting a little older, long in the tooth there. So. I think obviously in their first priority, in my opinion, is corner. They need to be able to cover. They can't cover a soul. Every receiver plays well against them, but I don't think guys have more value than the guys above him on this list. So right here, personally, I probably would take Sonny Styles. Honestly, they need to be able to run to the quarterback. Bobby Wagner's a Hall of Famer, a future Hall of Famer in my opinion, but he's very slow. They need more speed, especially when you're playing in a division like that when you got to tackle Saquon Barkley and Cam Scatterboo and Javonte Williams for the Cowboys. So I think Sonny Styles makes all the sense in the world right here. It can be a two-level player for them, whether it be on the line of scrimmage or off the ball for sure.
Trey, Dev, you guys agree?
Look, I agree there because I've been hearing Washington fans talking about some man, we can't deal with Bobby Wagner doing what he did last year, man. And I agree.
They hate Bobby, boy.
Yeah,
they need you. They need
somebody younger for sure.
They need that bad, and in this world and in this regime, we're gonna have to give them that. I think Sonny Styles needs to be the move for them. He needs to be absolutely the guy because, boy, on third down, it's like almost telling them what they're gonna do before they do it. When I watch that game, I'll be like, yeah, they're gonna figure out who's matched up on Bobby, and they said we're gonna go to you. So I think this is the move right here. I think Sonny Styles has to be by far the play.
Dev, you're obviously your hometown Saints on the clock now at number 8. I'll let you take it away, bro. Who are the Saints taking?
Yeah, I think this was going to be interesting because I think, I say what I say about receivers, but, David Bailey being here at 8, I think it's tempting to take him, just because, Cam Jordan, he's retiring or likely retiring, and they just need more youth in their edge rushing room. Yep. Obviously Mekhi Lemon and Jordan Tyson are also considerations here, but I probably make the argument that you take the edge rusher and David Bailey and someone that can get after the quarterback, someone you can depend on third downs to get after the quarterback and be able to get them on the ground. And I think that was a big reason why they struggled this year in competing is they couldn't get after the quarterback often enough. Chase Young had a pretty good year, but outside of him, they really struggled getting pressure and getting after the quarterback. So I think David Bailey would be a great pick here for them.
Now, see, if y'all take Bailey right before us, I'm gonna have a crash out on Twitter. I'm gonna tag you in it,
bro. What was that?
I'm like, Dev was wrong. He was right the whole time.
You could have just took Mekhi Lemon, bro.
No, I do think that's a great pick for
they need it for sure.
Yeah, they definitely need a passer, especially
David Bailey indoors, boy.
With Cam Jordan getting older and just the direction of that defensive line at this point in time, kind of needs a cornerstone. So
10 sacks immediately.
Definitely not mad at that pick at all.
That makes sense.
9 on the clock, guys. Is us Chiefs step into the building. This is the way the board ends up falling. I'm not sure what the Chiefs do.
Honestly,
but
best
play available.
Realistically, we're trading back. Honestly, realistically, I think we trade back to 14. the Ravens going to go ahead and they're going to try and get a receiver to go alongside with Zay Flowers, and it's going to be a continued thing of the Ravens drafting.
Give me another second, give me another third, or either one of those, and I'm cool. But if we had to pick here, I think the Chiefs would probably like a guy like either Folk or Woods. It'd be either one of those guys for sure. I'm not mad at Jordan Tyson. I'm not mad at Tyson. I love Jordan Tyson as a prospect. I just don't like the injury concern. I hate the fact he's been missing a lot of games. If you're missing games in college in 12-game seasons, you're definitely going to miss games in the NFL with 17, potentially 18 games when they expand on the schedule. So I'm not in love with Jordan Tyson's durability. I think the pick here, really, the Chiefs would probably like Folk or Woods. If I had to choose, give me Folk because we need edge help. So they need to
honestly, I want to trade back, but the thing about it is that if this is the board, I want to trade back. If not, I'm not gonna go guard. I'm not gonna go tackle. I'm trying to talk myself into a reason why I should be okay with seeing a receiver come off in the first round. Even though, do we really need a receiver all that much? No.
That's one thing we kind of messed up. I think there's probably going to be some tackles going in this top 8.
Yeah.
We didn't pick somebody.
We didn't take Spencer Fanu or Brandon Muaga. Like that.
One of them going to get picked.
One of those is not going to go top 10. So, I mean, technically, if this is how the board plays out, we might be in a little bit of a better situation. But realistically, yeah, as much as I'm not a big fan of Keldrick Falk,
not either, but I think that's obviously gonna have to.
That's what they like.
The Bengals are gonna pull the Bengals. They're gonna draft Mekhi Lemon because of the fact that they just kidding.
I think the Bengals could go in a lot of different directions here. They obviously need help with that offensive line still moving forward. But I also think that this could be a spot where they do take a corner as well too. That defense has struggled the last couple of years. Dad, with this pick, where do you see the Cincinnati Bengals headed to?
Yeah, I think you kind of, hit the head on the nail. Corner, I think, probably makes a lot of sense here, considering who's still on the board and kind of the needs they have offense. I think you could potentially take offensive lineman here if you feel like Orlando Brown isn't the guy, beyond this year, that you feel comfortable protecting Joe Burrow's blind side. I think in cases like that, you probably prefer corner, just because I don't think if you're picking top 10, you want a guy that can kind of make an immediate impact. So I think Mansour Delane can make a lot of sense here. I think he's the best pure cover corner in the draft class. I think, Jermod McCoy could be a guy that you consider here as well, assuming that he returns to pre-injury form and, he goes out and tests really well and looks really good athletically at the combine or pro day, whichever one he ends up doing. But yeah, if you want to take a guy that is ready to play now, I'd probably say Mansour Delane.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that they need to be smart here this year. I know the last couple of years they've taken some offensive weapons and things of that nature and try to build up that offense, but you got to at some point fix your defense. So I think
honestly and realistically, I think that is the smartest play because of the fact that, let's call it what it is, Cam Taylor-Britt has not been exactly what they've been wanting, and honestly, the best move for them is to go get a guy and let Cam Taylor-Britt know, hey, bro, you're on the clock, bro.
Well, guys, we got to get our guy Dev out of here. We will wrap this up as soon as he gets out of here. But Dev, tell the good people whether they can find you and where they can find all your work and everything like that.
Yeah, you can find me on X at reald_Jackson. All of my work is at theinquirer.com. Going to be doing a lot of draft stuff. I did a mock draft on Monday, and probably going to do an all Eagles mock draft before the combine, look at a combine preview the next couple of weeks. So I'll have those stuff coming as well.
We appreciate you pulling up. If you ever want to come back and join us at any point in time, just let us know, man. We definitely would love to have you back, and wish you the best in your endeavors and safe travels, obviously, to Indianapolis as well. Too, hopefully we can hit you up and ask you some questions while while you're there as well too on some prospects as well.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just let me know. I'm happy to come back on and talk more, draft stuff. And yeah, it was awesome coming on. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, we'll definitely be in touch.
Yes, sir.
Thanks,
For
Dan.
sure, man.
Appreciate you there.
Appreciate that.
All right, Joe.
Peace.
All right, y'all want to finish? Go ahead and finish this up, and then we good.
Yeah. Are we gonna be sensible with the? Are we gonna be actually like have like the Dolphins have common sense?
Yeah,
Or
we'll be sensible with the Dolphins.
dang it! I was gonna say let's take Francis Mwaga and try and flip him to guard.
Man, well, I look. It wouldn't surprise me if they did go offensive line help here. But,
Yeah, we might be getting rid of Tyreek Hill, and yeah, we're gonna go ahead and take a last tackle.
I think McCoy could be a pick here as well for them too. They kind of need a corner. They need help in that secondary as well. Peter Woods could be a pick for them too. They could use a defensive line. Where y'all see them going with this pick?
Dolphins, they need to protect two at all costs. So I would go either best lineman available, honestly.
Francis, we're flipping you to guard.
Oh,
they need to protect two. Whoever gonna play quarterback for them, they can't block a soul.
Cowboys, running back, linebacker, safety. Where you guys see them headed with the 12th pick?
They need an edge rusher.
I can see.
They might do.
They need a linebacker, whoever it is. But they already know most of the guys are. Sonny Styles still on the board?
No,
Sonny's gone.
He's been gone.
Sonny been gone. They need to get a linebacker for sure. That's the biggest need.
Honestly, what I think is probably gonna happen.
But none of them guys are worth it. Or Anthony Hill, that wouldn't be a bad one. But I don't know about the first.
It wouldn't be a bad one. It's not gonna be. I think that they stay in Texas, and I think they take Cassius out.
They could, yeah. Get to the quarter. Put him next to Quinnen and Kenny, yeah.
I think this is McCoy. The Rams.
Oh yeah, this got to be McCoy.
This got to be the best corner available. They need a corner bad for sure.
We allowed the Ravens to get him this high and not make a move.
You know what?
They would definitely take Mekhi Lemon.
They are definitely taking Mekhi Lemon.
I think it's either I was gonna say I think it's either between Mekhi Lemon and Jordan Tyson, but I definitely.
Mekhi Lemon is A Flowers, boy. Oh boy.
Boy, you better play cover too.
Buccaneers are in an interesting spot. The defense was kind of bad last year. Caleb Banks could be an option for them, putting him next to Vita Vea. You could go with an Avion Terrell or somebody like that. I do think this is a defensive pick for them though.
Could be.
Peter Woods.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I can see Peter or Caleb Banks going here.
I mean, they got Vita Vea. They're getting older up there. Need to get some use. So Peter Woods, I can see him.
I would see
him or Caleb. Either one makes sense.
Yeah, I can see Peter Woods there.
Jets back on the clock at 16.
Are we going to be sensible with them?
Yes, we're going to be sensible.
Honestly,
they'll probably take an
offensive player. They probably going to take. Yeah, they're probably going to take an offensive player. I think that Caleb Banks needs to be their pick, but obviously they don't really care. So I think that they're probably going to end up taking Jordan Tyson.
I don't know what's going on in football, but good luck, kid.
Lions on the clock as well. Center, tackle, edge, cornerback. That secondary needs massive help.
Avion Terrell.
They put
Avion Terrell. AJ Terrell's little brother has got to be.
They need to be able to cover.
Vikings running back, center, DB.
Caleb Banks. They can't stop the run.
Caleb Banks.
And they take neither of them.
We're doing that. Get Xavier Legette off the field. Go ahead and take Denzel Boston.
Interesting. Denzel, or would you think about adding like a Kenyon Sadiq or
Sadiq wouldn't be bad.
He wouldn't be bad, but honestly, I think they want to bring a guy alongside that.
I mean, they already got two receivers right now, so you need a tight end.
They don't really. Bro, if y'all see how they doing. Y'all see how they doing Xavier again. You
No,
can't even
he's a 3. You don't replace your wide receiver 3 in the first round. If I'm replacing you in the first round, you need to be my 1.
No, that is true.
Sadiq can be my 1 tight end. So
I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah,
I would like their defense was good. So I would take Sadiq. I think Sadiq makes sense for Bryce.
Yeah, Sadiq might make sense. Yeah. Actually, that would be a solid move. Yeah, that's going to go with it.
Dallas back on the clock again at 20.
Honestly,
any old linemen that they need?
Old linemen.
The old line did pretty good this year. Linebackers are dead. Safeties are pretty much gone. We already got them.
Honestly, I can see this happening. They double up on D-line.
Based on the way this board fell, yeah, I can see them just drafting T.J. Parker and just raking shot.
I was gonna say more. I thought they were gonna say Cade McDonald.
Still see that going interior. They kind of fixed that interior though with Kenny Clark.
That's what I'm saying. They already drafted Quentin.
They could
Quentin and Kenny, so it's like anything they should be edge because these first round picks, you want to be a guy that's going to start. So
they can double up.
All right,
I can see that. Yeah, you're right. You're
right. Steelers.
Their best move
tackle.
Aaron Rodgers coming back. You better go get Spencer Fano.
Yeah, protect.
Yeah, I think you got to get somebody to protect him for sure.
Chargers.
Center guard, defensive line. I think this is your spot for Cade
McDonald.
Eagles, tight end, guard, edge, cornerback.
Given the fact they just lost 2 linemen, they're probably taking Caden Proctor.
Or they're going to take
Lane Dickerson and Lane Johnson are both probably going to retire. You got to get a starter right day 1. So
you might as well go take Caden Proctor.
I ain't expecting Lane to retire. That was kind of crazy.
Cleveland back on the clock again. They took Cardinal Tate earlier. I kind of tend to think that this may be an offensive lineman.
I think it's going to be I think it's right here with a kid out of Penn State. You can go ahead and if you're really going to build up on Shador. Yeah, if you're really going to build up on Shador, you might as well take an offensive lineman, build up.
Bears, defensive line, linebacker, safety.
Lee Hunter. I think it's either Lee Hunter or T.J. Allen.
They need to work on that defense.
Yeah,
for sure.
Probably Lee Hunter.
Which is a great move for them, honestly.
Stop the run.
Are we going to be sensible with the Bills?
Denzel Boston.
Yes.
That's Casey Concepcion would have made more sense.
It's gonna be Denzel Boston.
Niners. I think this is a spot for Casey Concepcion.
Yeah, I think it's Casey Concepcion.
With the departure of maybe Brandon Ayuk leaving.
Yeah.
They do need edge help, but I do think I don't think there's any edges left that they would probably
They're not gonna take Akeem Mesidor on this
right. Texans, running back, center, guard, interior defensive line.
See everything on they really don't have
shit. Spooky.
Yeah, it's looking real spooky. So this is why, look, if you're gonna suck right now. Don't try and put yourself in a spot to where you're gonna suck, and you still need to rebuild. And you still need some people. Part of me wants to say, okay, cool, get Caleb, whatever his name is.
Do they reach for Jadarian Price?
If they do reach for him,
we need a center.
They need some blood linemen. Anybody in your drive need to protect CJ.
Yeah.
Did you reach for?
It's really a bad. They're gonna reach, but
man, this is kind of tough for them.
That's why I said, look, if y'all gonna be good,
I think you could just go maybe bolster that defense still. Christian Miller.
Yeah, go take Christian Miller.
Rams back on the clock again.
We gave him a corner last time.
They did another quarter.
Take another one.
You get double down.
Double down.
Straight double down. I think it's Caleb Lomu.
I mean, low key, this could be a Ty Simpson spot, low key, because Matthew Stafford ain't gonna play much longer. You
I can
could
see
get him
that.
in the first and develop him for a year.
Yeah, I can see
They
that.
need to get a
29.
quarterback for the future.
Yeah,
Denver.
let's roll with it. Yeah.
And you get him for 5 years. So.
CJ Allen.
Running back, tight end, center,
CJ
linebacker. Yeah. Tight
Yeah.
end. The defeated Patriots.
Well, I mean, your boy's going to guard, so give him a tackle.
And obviously,
that'd
the
be
Super
so
Bowl
fucked
champion.
They would take Akeem Messador with no question. Another
Yeah.
pass rusher? Jesus. Or EMW. Well, no, they already got the good safety.
Actually, no.
EMW
Hold on. I'm gonna tell you who I think it is. I think it's gonna be Brandon
Or
Sisk
Mason.
because of
Oh,
the
my
fact
God.
I think it's gonna be Brandon Sisk because of the fact that they're getting tired of Tariq Woolen. Tariq Woolen, especially being a Super Bowl champion, he's probably gonna be out the door anyway. They're gonna be trying to look for a guy who can actually go alongside Witherspoon. I think Brandon Sisk probably fits him best.
All right, we'll probably run this back again with just us, where we can do like take our time, do trades and stuff like that.
We trading back, boys.
Yeah.
I mean, based on the way that, I mean, realistically, I think the way we did our board, some of those tackles are going to get drafted above 8.
Yeah,
that's just how the system goes. Like,
there's
only a couple good tackles on the day one. Two of them, if not one of them, is going top 10. So I don't see a world where no tackles get all the way drafted. So
yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for us guys before we get out of here. Underdog Fantasy promo code Kingdom Cast. Score 75 in fantasy bonus entries when you play your first $5. New customers. At this point in time, man, a lot coming up. NBA playoffs is around the corner. MLB spring training has finally started for some team as well too. So they probably got some futures on there that you would probably want to go check out and look at. Use that promo code Kingdom Cast, man, to build up a profile and start getting on there and winning some kids ash for yourself.
Look, we done lowered the level. We done lowered them fields, man. Bobby 30 for 30.
Right?
We're likely to hit.
And yeah, I'm thinking about putting in that stolen base prop for sure this year. I think it's at like 33 and a half. Looking pretty decent. He had 34 last year. I think he could definitely go over that. Yeah,
I'm taking the over for
especially if he stays healthy, man. That's mostly gonna wrap it up for us guys on here on Redshirt. We appreciate everybody pulling up. Appreciate Dev Jackson as well. Go follow him. Like we said, a lot of good draft content, not just Eagles content as well too. You go follow him. He's got great draft content as well. He'll be at the combine, so if you guys want to, pick his brain on any prospects or anything like that, hit him up, and hopefully, he'll be able to get back with you as well. But he'll be putting out stuff all throughout the draft process. We'll be back again as well to continue helping you guys get ready for the draft at this point. So, you guys got anything before you want to get out of here?
Yeah, combine is coming up very soon. Getting to that point to where football's over with. Basketball, y'all got next. March Madness definitely gonna be coming up here real soon, so it's gonna be interesting. The next thing you know,
Peterson hates to be out. So
yeah, Darren Peterson hates Kansas.
He just loves it. He loves his NBA money. That's all it is.
He just loves the NIL money, and that's it. He really.
Right.
He said, "I just came here to hoop and hoop only. Fuck school."
I don't hate y'all. I just like my money more. It's nothing personal. You know what I'm saying?
He cared more about the shoes that Anthony Edwardson's than the school that's paying him the money to hoop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know we're a football podcast. We'll definitely bring up some for March Madness as well too. Have a little fun.
Is Darren Peterson gonna screw Kansas in March Madness? Trey says yes.
Have a little fun with that as well too. Probably go over everybody's brackets or something like that, and have a little fun with it. So
Kansas first round exit.
Oh my God.
They're not that bad. Calm
They
down.
gonna come.
Calm
They
down.
definitely
They gonna lose in the second round. They gonna lose. In the
coming
second
for you in the comments for sure.
round.
Boy, go
Guess what? I got time today.
He's an op. Don't take him seriously.
Appreciate you guys. Love you guys,
No.
man. We'll be back.
What is it called? Brick talk? Yeah.
Yeah. Have a good night, everybody. Peace, man. Redshirt.
Chiefs.
Yeah.